Thanks for joining me at Learnwake. My name is Brandon Judd, and I'm responding to a video analysis request. This one's been uploaded by Bryan, and the trick he's working on is Tantrum to Blind. So there's a few Tantrum to Blind attempts here. In his submission, he added in the comments, he says he's been trying to land the Tantrum to Blind for a while and just can't seem to land it. He's been landing wrapped on my blind 180s and taking them as big as I can. Plus, I've also been focusing on taking my tantrums, on making my tantrum float, go straight up, and adding an indie grab, aiming to reduce the line tension. Any tips would be greatly appreciated. So cool. Thanks, Bryan. Thanks for uploading the videos. That helps me as well. Seeing multiple attempts is really nice. It looks like you uploaded 3 here. And then adding those comments helps a lot. So it looks like you know what the goal is, that you're trying to be able to take it lofty and eliminate some line tension and then work on that landing position. So it looks like you have all of the pieces needed to land this thing. So I want to take a look at this video. First of all, it's really good. I'm surprised you didn't land some of these, but I'm gonna let all those joining us now just kind of watch this, and I'll kind of talk through some of these. So I slowed it down extra slow so we could see. You get lost in the spray. Looks like you've got a pretty sizable wake. Um, to be honest, they look really good, and I'm shocked that you popped the handle on all of these. I mean, it's understandable. I did the same thing when I was learning this trick. It's a really freaky feeling when you're falling out of this, um, about to land in a blind position in such a vulnerable way. So it's definitely easy to drop the handle. Um, but the way you've been landing is really good. It looks like you just need to hold on. As many would say in my boat, it looks like it's time to bring the duct tape out. For some reason, you're just letting go. But we're going to give you a lot more thorough analysis than that. I'm not going to say just don't let go. But honestly, you did really good here. And had you fought through it a little more, you probably could have saved it. So, first thing I want to do is I want to prevent you from taking really hard falls. Um, and that is that when you're edging in here, the boat driver can do something to help you. So right after you leave the wake, as soon as you're already completely disconnected to the wake, the driver can turn the steering wheel just a little bit, like a quarter turn of the wheel toward your landing side. Um, and you'll want them to kind of turn with you. So I like to put, if this is a steering wheel here, and I need to turn the wheel in your direction, I like to put my hand on the side that you're taking off, at that like kind of quarter position, and then I like to move my hand with you, to your landing position. So about this, 90-degree angle here, I would move the steering wheel this direction and then stop right here. So um, what that does is it turns the boat toward your landing side, which loosens your line tension. And the way to do that, is to be very subtle about it. You don't want to be crazy with it. You want to help train the rider. The driver wants to help train the rider to expect some line tension. You don't want to completely eliminate it, and you definitely don't want to turn before they hit the wake. You just because yours is so good right now, I don't want to mess anything up. So I would just turn. You can even do it less extreme than that, even more subtle, by maybe like starting it with your hand on the top of the steering wheel and then just kind of bringing it down here like an eighth of a turn. Um, so what that will do is when you're landing this, right now it feels really scary. Even though you don't have a ton of line tension, you can feel it's coming. You can feel it's coming back to you. It's starting to tighten up. And what this does is it stretches you out like this. So you've got, I can still see your head here, kind of tucked under your your armpit there, if you will, and it's really uncomfortable like this because if you were to finish in more like this landing position, um, then your hand gets a little bit further away, um, from where the handle is, which makes the line even tighter, if that makes sense. So as soon as you're landing, this line tension will soften up so you can get in this position and kind of fight through that a little bit better. Um, because right now you don't really know what to expect or how to force your way through it if there's a little bit of line tension. Because honestly, like especially on that first one, let's look at this first one, especially here, if you had just committed and like really leaned over your tail when you landed, and like kind of over flipped it, and then here, right here, if you'd committed and taken your chest and shoulders and really pushed it this way, kind of towards shore, and then taken your hips and pushed them up at the handle and just kind of forced it, you totally could have landed this. Um, but it's really scary to know when to force it to work and when to bail so you don't get pulled out and take a back edge, which I've done, and it's not fun on this trick. So that said, that little turn from the driver will save so much frustration. And if you do that a couple times, what it does is it opens up your comfort level and lets you trust the landing feeling. Once you know what landing feeling to trust, then you know you have better judgment on when to fight through this and when not to. So that said, that's probably the quickest, easiest solution. It's just to do that until you land a whole bunch of them, and then the driver can do less and less and less of a turn until you just suddenly are doing it right. Also, on your takeoff, it looks like you do square up kind of late. Um, like two hands are still on the handle. You barely take your back hand off the handle here, and you're kind of like diving your shoulders over, and I can still see both shoulders, like you're not lined up super well. Both feet. I can still see both feet clearly. It's not like you're taking off of just the tail. So this will encourage more line tension at the end because it's just kind of a weird across the wake position that you're going to go to rather than being a little punchier and stopping you more and taking you straight up so that you drop out of it a little more. And I know you said you're working on that and you're definitely doing good at it, but if you wanted to make it to where the line tension was super soft, you could square up a little more and it would soften the line tension at the end. So let me take you through what that looks like. So here's Kyle Schmidt doing a tantrum to blind, and so you'll see when he squares up, he takes his hand off the handle right here, probably a little earlier, right here, a hair earlier than you did, and then when he squares up and takes off, you'll notice that I like almost can't see his back leg. He's really lined up and really squared up, and his shoulders are really in alignment. It doesn't look like he's taking his head and like dipping it toward his landing. Um, and then if you'll watch his line tension, see how it's kind of wobbly? It just wobbles back and forth all the way until he lands. It's nice and soft. Um, you can see it kind of drooping there. But as soon as you land, you really want to fight it by pushing the small of your back toward the handle and then trying to get into the cuffed position as quick as possible. This is going to help you fight a little extra line tension if you end up getting stuck with it, if that makes sense. So kind of how Kyle does here, where um, he'll impact in the blind position, and then as soon as he has the opportunity, he gets cuffed. That'll help you kind of save your landings. You may need to pass the handle if there's a lot of line tension. You can do that just to get out of it, just so you can land for now. Um, but taking off the way Kyle did here will ease the line tension just enough. And then you have the same kind of thing. We have a Case and Ciderhout here doing tension to blind as well. Squaring up real nice. This one is with an indie grab. Flips at the peak of his trick and then drops out of it really nice. And then the line tension is nice and soft right away. And then he gets cuffed as well. So going back to yours, you're still a little open. Sorry for that. I don't know why the feedback was kind of giving me trouble here. I'll just refresh this. There we go. Okay. So on your takeoff, if we were to square it up a little bit better, we'll take a peek and see how um, your back is really arching toward that landing. And I know you can't really see it too far, but your board has just about left the water, and you finally got into that good squared up position. So I would just get there a little earlier, and then you should be much better off. So I don't know why the playback's giving me a hard time here on YouTube, but let's try and get another takeoff position if we can. There we go. All right. So you're lining up pretty good. It's a little late. You could do a little better, but again, that's just me being really picky. If I had to find something that was going to help save your line tension at the end, it would be a little bit of your takeoff, just kind of squaring up a little earlier, a little stronger. And you can practice that on your indie tantrums where you feel like you're dropping out of the tantrum without line tension. But I wouldn't worry and fret about that too much. Your tantrum seems really strong. Your blind landings seem like they're pretty strong. I just would start doing that little boat turn with the steering wheel. Have your driver do that for you, just so you can get a few under your belt, and then I think it will work itself out from there. I really do. I mean, this looks good. You can also wait and save the 180 for later. Like the reason this one feels like it got yanked out of your hand was because you started rotating to blind so early. Like right here, you're already rotating to blind. You could have saved that backside 180 for a little later. And you can notice this by practicing some backside 180s, like really early backside 180s, you'll feel like you get that same line tension. And then if you wait and do it really late, you actually have like a better window for line tension, even though it's scarier because you have to move quicker. But um, it's that same kind of concept. So save that backside 180 for a little later as well. Turn the boat a little bit and then square up a little more on takeoff. And again, I mean, if you haven't already figured this out, just in the delay between you submitting the video and us responding to it, if you haven't already gotten these, I might be surprised. But I think you're right there, man. And I think that these will become really, really consistent for you once you get that line tension, like the feeling of that kind of sorted out. So good luck. Thanks again for submitting the video, and we'll see you around the site.